Hello friends, Koolio here and welcome back to the channel. Today guys, we are checking out a brand new hero collector that came out a couple of days ago called CALIBRIA Crystal Guardians. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Now, the interesting thing about this game is I've seen a couple of people talk about it here and there, and the general consensus so far about the game is it's pretty good, but it's very generic, and I gotta agree with that. Like, there are a couple of things in this game that I actually think are pretty interesting and I have thoroughly been enjoying, but the game definitely feels very generic. Now let's go ahead and actually just jump in and I'll show you guys some of the combat in the game. Now, if you've ever played any hero collector before, specifically games like Summoner's War, this game has a really Summoner Wars type of feeling behind it. Probably a major influence on this game is you're going to notice a lot of the combat and everything in this game is going to feel very familiar. Basically, you're going through a regular story mode, pushing your way through the story, completing stages, getting different runes that you can equip onto your character, making them more powerful. And there is a chance that on some of these stages, which I do think is kind of cool, that certain characters will actually drop. So I do like that. I always like it when they give us free characters here and there kind of randomly. So let's go ahead and actually jump into the battle. Now, there is one thing about this game that I found interesting, and at first I wasn't sure if I was gonna actually enjoy it, but the interface in this game is different and unique compared to other games. I don't know if I particularly like it. I've gotten used to it. I definitely think it looks good. It's a little bit different how everything's kind of all set up, and it looks a little bit confusing at first, but it's okay. So. Yes, they have voice acting. Now, one of the only downsides really, I think, to this game, besides the fact that it's a pretty generic game, is the voice acting isn't overly that good. Even for your character itself, just doesn't sound very good. So I've been just basically skipping the story and just getting straight into the combat. Now, the combat is going to look definitely very familiar to a lot of people. However, the elemental system in this game is basically, it's got that rock, paper, scissors feel, but rather than like water, earth, or whatever, it's like chaotic or neutral or lawful style, but it's going to be very familiar to other games. They just don't call it fire, water, earth, or whatever. They call it chaotic or lawful or evil or good or something like that. So now the combat in this game, you've got your characters on one side, obviously your enemies on the other side. You have the elemental system. If it's yellow, it's neutral damage. Red, it does half damage or it doesn't do as much damage. If it's green, it does a lot more damage. You've got the attack order here on the right, and then you've got your character's abilities down here on the bottom right. Now, there is some interesting stuff with the abilities, which we are going to get into a little bit later, which I actually really like about this game, but the overall combat of this game is pretty generic. You basically just select a skill, your characters will then attack an enemy. This character I have right here, she has an ability where, like, if she defeats an enemy, she gets to attack again. Now, there is up to ×3 speed unlocked right away, which is pretty nice. And then there's also auto combat for your character to just start doing auto combat. Again, a lot of this stuff is pretty similar to a lot of other games. I do like the fact that the ×3 speed isn't locked behind a paywall or some kind of VIP system. It's just free right at the front. It's weird that I have to say that in games now, that the increased speed is not behind a paywall. So I do like the fact that it unlocks fairly quickly and you can just kind of start rushing through a lot of the stages, start leveling up your characters. Again, pretty generic on that front. Nothing super special stands out. No kind of really amazing animations or super in-depth or intricate kind of gameplay. It's all about setting up your teams with different combos, attacks, making sure they're powered up, they've got the right runes, everything like that. You've seen it in these games before. So just completed the stage, got some experience points for our characters, and then we're going to get some items that we get from this specific level. So Kalinite is the basic in-game currency, and then we got ourselves a magic focus rune. Now, each of the levels are actually have a specific rune attached to them, and every single chapter has a specific type of rune attached to it, which, again, you've seen that before in a lot of other games. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting about this game is they have this timer thing up here at the top, which I believe it's like every 3 minutes or a minute and a half, whatever, but this basically just goes like all day, and it doesn't really increase that much. Like, you're gonna be collecting this thing like constantly as you play through the day. I kind of like it. Usually games like this, it's like, you know, if you spend like 5 minutes, then you get it, and then it's like if you spend 15, 30, 40, whatever, this just kind of continually goes on throughout the entire time that you're playing. So they've also got a bunch of other things going on too, like different achievements that you can complete to get in-game rewards. They've got a bunch of packs going on right now, like a lot of them. And then they have this little wish thing, which I think is kind of fun. It's just a roulette thing. You kind of just jump in and you wish. You get a certain amount a day. I think it's like 3 a day. And you get specific items. Let's see what I'm going to get here. And I got myself an Ascension Cat. Awesome, which will help with ascending up my my characters. Now let's go ahead and actually talk about the heroes now, because this is where some of the more interesting aspects come into play. Now, obviously you've got your basic heroes, whatever elemental type they are, whatever type they are. She is an attacking type. She is great. And then we're not going to talk about skills, because that's the interesting part about the game. We're going to get into that in just a second. You've got your evolution, which they do have stages that unlock that you can play through, where you have to get these specific marks. Once you have the certain amount of marks, you can then go ahead and evolve them. You can also craft marks by combining marks of a lower tier into a higher tiered version. I do like that. I think that's kind of nice. And then you've got your rune system. This is going to look very, very familiar to anyone that's played Summoner Wars or a lot of other hero collectors. You've got your basic runes here. If you have a certain amount, you can get bonuses on top of it. For the attack one, if you have 4 pieces, you get plus 35% attack. If you have 6, you ignore 15% of the enemy's defense. Again, a lot of this is going to look really familiar, but then if you go ahead and you actually look at the whole user interface, it's a little confusing at first. So if I wanted to go ahead and click on this one, you have your equip, enhance, sell. I don't know, like it's not too bad. It's just, like, it looks clean. It was a little weird at first, thinking the equip button was all the way up here at the top. And that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. It's nothing super crazy. I like the interface. It's a little bit different. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about skills, because this is where the most interesting aspect of this game comes into play. All of the characters in the game have this skill tree. However, they can only have a certain amount of skills active at any single time. Now you can actually go in, for example, I've got this Sinister Strike right here. I can go ahead and then swap it for my other one that is connected through this line. So I can kind of go through and customize my characters. Now, in order to get more of these skills unlocked, because you'll actually notice a couple of them. Let me see. I don't think my wolf has them all unlocked yet. Right here. So the Phantom Claw ability says there is a chance to learn skills from PvE. So I actually do think this is pretty interesting. As you're playing through the game, there is a random chance that your character that you have will automatically learn a new ability. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can equip it at the time, because some abilities require your character to evolve. So for example, I have this passive ability, Phantom Energy, for my wolf. Now in order for me to even use it, because he has learned it, I just haven't unlocked it yet, I need to evolve my character, and then I can go ahead and start using these different passive abilities, swapping them in and out. So for example, 70% chance to recover 10% of own energy whenever an ally attacks an enemy. Or this one, a Phantom is rather hard to catch, 70% chance to gain immunity against slow and energy down effects. So you can kind of go through and build and customize your characters that way. I actually really like that system. I think it's pretty fun. That's probably the most interesting system in the game that I've seen. They've also got this archive system up here at the top. As you go through and you collect a whole bunch of heroes in this game, they'll give you rewards. Now, one of the things about the heroes is I feel like there are really, really cool heroes in this game. For example, you've got the Dragoon. I do think the Dragoon looks pretty cool. Another one that I think looks really, really awesome is this guy down here, the Abyss Lord. Like, that guy looks super, super dope. But then you have a couple of other characters that kind of just look a little bland, like this guy, Ironheart. He just seems kind of bland to me. But then you got this guy, the Lich King, who looks, I think he looks really, really dope. I like his overall concept. So there's a mixed bag when it comes to the type of heroes that you can collect in this game, on whether or not they look really cool or they just look kind of generic. It's going to be up to personal taste. Me personally, again, I feel like a lot of them are generic. There's a couple standouts here and here. But let's go ahead and let's summon for some heroes. I don't have enough to do a 10-time summon. That's okay though. I've got a couple of scrolls. I've got 6 of them right here. Actually, I think I can go. Let's do this. Let's go to the shop, and we are gonna go to I think it's under special. This is the one that I want right here. We're gonna buy 4 of these, and that will give us enough to do a 10 times summon. We have 10 of them, so let's go ahead and do this and get a 10 times summon and see if we can't get some pretty cool characters. It's only a gold. I don't know if that means we're just gonna get a 4-star or lower. We got ourselves the Shield Guardian. Is this all of the ones that we've gotten down here? That's kind of lame. I was hoping we'd go through them one at a time, but our 4-star is a Shield Guardian. We got ourselves the Magic Witch, the Troll Lancer, Rock Golem, the Card Envoy. See, that guy, like, he looks pretty cool. The Phantom Wolf, which again, I got that guy through just playing through the story. You can't get a lot of characters simply just by playing through it and getting lucky for them to drop. Jungle Heart, Cerberus, then the Elven Archer, and the Griffin. Some of these characters, like, I feel like have higher textures than others. Like, if you look at the Elven Archer, it just feels like a really, really outdated model. And then like you look at the Griffin and it feels like the anti-aliasing or something looks better. I don't know. There you guys go. Calibria Crystal Guardians. Definitely a pretty generic hero collector, but it's got its merits here and there. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below on this game. And also, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more mobile gaming videos coming in the future. All right, friends, I'll see you next time.